at my job right now, they're doing a 7-day mandate, and they have been for about 2.5 months. So that's 8 hours every day. You have to be there. Um, and some high schoolers work there. They work the second shift. They work like 3 to 11. And obviously, that's probably really hard. I can't imagine going to high school on top of this shit. But this kid asked for work off. He's like, "Hey, can I have work off? Like, not paid time, none of that, but just like he needs a day off because his graduation is coming up." And yeah, they denied him. They're like, "Sorry, you're not hired in yet, so you don't have PTO, so you can't take any time off." And he's like, "I'm literally like graduating high school. I just want to go to my graduation." And they're like, "Sorry, you can't take a day off." And I just wanted to put that on TikTok because maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll go viral or something and we can have a larger conversation. The state of work in America is fucked. It's fucked. It's so fucking bad. Like, to mandate 7 days a week for like months on end and then give all your employees like 5 days of PTO and then go, "You can't take any time off otherwise," is so fucked up, dude. It's so bad. And it's like, I'm almost used to it at this point because I'm just like in it, but like it's not good, dude. And I don't know, dude. This shit sucks, dog. But I'm about to take a nap, so.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Different Perspective, and I am back with another video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and definitely subscribe. Today I wanted to talk about modern slavery and why I believe that we are in a time of modern slavery, and I wanted to show you guys that through some clips. So without further ado, let's get right into the video.
The problem is capitalism. The problem is the exploitation of the working class. The problem is that the system has been set up so that you can work and work and work for hours and days and weeks and months and years on end and not see any gain or any benefit from it. Your work doesn't benefit you, it benefits the people that you're working for. The problem is that the people in power and the people who make the laws are having their pockets filled by companies and corporations so that they do exactly as they're told. The problem is that we live in a sociopathic economic system where some people are deemed more valuable than others, and if you don't have any economic value, then you deserve nothing. You don't get health care, you don't get housing, you don't get your basic human rights respected or protected. All you get is exploited for all the money that they can get out of you, and then you die. We need to dismantle the system that treats us like we're only valuable if we can help make rich people richer while we ourselves are struggling to even survive. This is a system that is trying to take away our human rights. It is our duty to overthrow the system and replace it with one that values human life over profit. It is our duty to get rid of the people that allowed this system to continue.
Capitalism is the root of all evil. That's what I said to someone, and they got so fucking mad because they're a business owner and they're a capitalist and they love capitalism. And I'm also a business owner, but fuck capitalism, right? Because the system that we live in now, it is tremendously harmful for our psyche because as humans, we're not supposed to be living our lives like this, and we are outside of our natural flow as human beings, as fucking animals because of capitalism. And also, I just wanted to bring up this point. When you say that you don't fuck with capitalism, people just assume that you don't want to work. People just assume that like we would not have a functioning society without capitalism. And then I want to like ask, like, are you on something? Because like we live in a society where everyone's gonna have to work. I mean, not everyone. Obviously not disabled individuals that can't work, but most people are going to have to work. But it's about working where you are getting paid a livable wage for your work, that you're not getting exploited for your work. Why do you think when people criticize capitalism, it's always where you guys just don't want to work? And it's not that we don't want to work, we just don't want to be exploited. We just don't want to work for the rest of our fucking lives, dude. You're telling me I was born here, didn't ask to be here, and now I have to work for the rest of my life? Absolutely fucking not. I'm not doing that. So, yes, I will always criticize capitalism because it fucking sucks and it's not natural for us to be engaging in it. It's not natural for us as humans.
Capitalism has a lot in common with the systems before, particularly slavery and feudalism. And here's what they have in common. A very small group of people, masters, lords, employers, are dominant, have the control, and amass the wealth relative to the vast mass of people, the slaves or the serfs or the employees. This latter group, the majority, the vast majority, do the bulk of the work. The wealth produced is gathered into the hands of and controlled by the small group. A small group vis-a-vis a large group. That capitalism has in common with slavery and feudalism. And that means capitalism is subject to the same tensions and criticisms and revolutions that plagued slavery and feudalism. Why? Because sooner or later, when things go bad, the mass of people figure out that they're locked into a system where they get the short end of the stick. They are the majority, but the wealth they produce goes to somebody else. They are the majority, but the power is in the hands of somebody else. And they figure out that rather than begging as slaves that the master treat them better, or begging as serfs that the lord treat them better, or begging as employees that the employer treat them better, what they ought to do, maybe, is change the very system. Capitalism wasn't freedom. That capitalism didn't fundamentally change the situation of a few people with the wealth and power and everybody else without. It just changed the rules for that system. It replaced master-slave, lord-serf with employer-employee. So that what remained, if you were going to achieve the freedom that people in all those systems sooner or later felt, was a system that didn't organize production that way, that didn't divide the people who participate in producing and distributing goods and services into a minority with the wealth and power and a majority who do the work. And the only way to do that is to democratize the enterprise, whether it's a farm or a factory, a store or an office, to make it such that we don't have order givers, order takers, that everybody is a part of a community that together divides the work. Capitalism exists so long as you don't question, you don't criticize, and you don't move beyond yet another small group power, mass of workers situation. Capitalism didn't change that. It just gave it a new form. It went from master-slave, lord-serf, to employer-employee.
Capitalism is slavery with extra steps, or capitalism is feudalism with extra steps. You may have heard somebody make that claim before, but what exactly are those extra steps? Let me show you. And before I start, I just want to mention that I am in no way trying to trivialize or minimize the horrors that happened under traditional forms of slavery like chattel slavery. And if you have any issues with my video and how I presented it, just kindly let me know. So unfortunately, over thousands of years, across the world in many different civilizations, mankind has had many different systems of slavery, okay? So what is slavery? Slavery is the owning of another person. But why do you want to own another person? Why would somebody want to do that? They want to own the person for their labor, okay? Because you can go ahead and build wealth through your own personal labor, right? But there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much labor you can personally do in a day. So if you can go ahead and own other people and force them to do labor as well, then because you own them, not only are you getting the value of your own labor, but you're getting the value of other people's labor, right? So we're going to work with this question here. How to extract the value of another person's labor? And under chattel slavery is you have direct ownership of another human being, right? And because you directly own that person, you can force them to work, and any work that they do, any wealth they create from that work, you just get to keep it because you directly own that person. Now, next up is feudalism. Now, feudalism, they didn't own the people directly like in chattel slavery, but instead they owned the land, right? That the worker worked on, right? So now they're not getting the value of their labor from forcing them to work directly, but they're saying, you know, you're working on top of the land that I own. I own this land. And therefore, if you want to continue standing on this land, you have to give me money in return, right? So this is the extra step here. You're not directly owning the person, but you're owning the land on which they are doing the work. And then they have to give part of the value of their work to the owner of the land. Okay, so that leads us to capitalism. And under capitalism, you aren't extracting the value of somebody's labor through directly owning the person or owning the land in which they stand on. But what makes capitalism different is that you are owning the tools and the machines the worker needs to do their job, also known as the means of production. Now, capitalism is only a few hundred years old. So why was it only able to exist for that long? Why hasn't it been around for thousands of years? Because in the past, for most of human history, the tools and the machines needed for an average worker to do their job were very simplistic, right? So let's say, for example, we have these tools here. So in the past, let's say, for example, you want to make shoes for a living, but you don't have the tools to make the shoes. So you would go to someone who does have the tools and be like, hey, I would like to work for you. Right? And so let's say you now make $100 worth of shoes in 1 hour, right? So under capitalism, because they owned the tools, they're going to be like, okay, this is my $100 now. I'm going to give you a wage of $15 in return for your work, okay? Now, when tools were very simplistic, this worker isn't going to take that deal for very long because that's a crappy deal because they're the one that's actually doing all the labor. So they're going to go ahead when the tools are simplistic, they could create their own or they can save enough money. It didn't take very long for them to buy their own tools. And then they could get rid of this guy and just work for themselves and make their own shoes. However, as technology has advanced, and especially after the Industrial Revolution, the tools that are needed are no longer so simplistic. And now we have, factories, huge factories with very complex machines inside of them, right? That took thousands upon thousands of man hours and tons of capital to go ahead and invest in and build these things. And so if we go back to the scenario now where you want to make shoes, and now you can make your own shoes, but you're not going to be able to compete because you can only make so many shoes in an hour, and somebody can make, 10, 100 times more shoes in the same amount of time with these machines. So you have to go to an owner of these machines and be like, okay, I would like to make shoes for you now. And because of the machines, now you're not making $100 worth of shoes per hour, you're making $200 worth of shoes per hour. But because you don't have ownership of these things, the owner or the capitalist is going to say, okay, I'm going to give you a wage of $15 per hour. And here is the insidious thing about capitalism, is that it gives you this illusion of choice and this illusion of freedom, because the argument is going to be, if you don't like that wage that he's offering to you, then go ahead and just find somewhere else or work for yourself. Which can some people go ahead and work for themselves? Absolutely, right? But that's not going to work for the billions of people in the world, right? We can't have billions of individual factories with these machines, right? So the average person is going to have to go to an owner of these complex tools and machines and negotiate a wage. And one of the things that capitalists will do is make sure that all social safety nets are completely gutted to make this worker desperate. So yeah, sure, they have a choice to walk away, but when their choice is to take the $15 per hour or risk homelessness, they're going to go ahead and take the $15 per hour, even though it is a poverty wage. And I'll just end with, all socialism means is that you no longer have random private owners of these things, and society as a whole collectively owns it together, right? Because when you think about it, all of these inventions and things, no one person was able to build this or invent it or create it. All of these things are a culmination of thousands of years of human history and learning and education. And so saying that one person is entitled to the fruit of all of this collective knowledge it's not fair, and it's not sustainable. And it's not sustainable because think of the future of capitalism as technology progresses. Eventually, we're going to hit a point where all of the machines to do the job, you don't even need human labor anymore. You have machines. So what's going to happen to the masses of people who no longer have a way to make a living for themselves, and all of these machines are owned by a few private individuals?
All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. I got some banger videos coming out for you guys soon. So be on the lookout for those videos. Turn your notification bells on so you can get notifications of when I post. But other than that, Different Perspective is out. Thanks for watching. Peace.